Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's Monday Live. I hope everyone's having a great Monday so far. Sorry, I'm a few minutes late, but I hope all is well with each one of you. And I'm excited to be with you guys today. I really am. And we're going to talk about some really good stuff. We're going to talk about some principles of life that I believe will be helpful for all of you guys. And so, as you get on board, let me know where you're from. I know we have a lot of people around the world, so let me know where you guys are from as you get on board with me. And some of you have really cool usernames, so make sure you tell me your name also. And I want to be able to call you out and say hey to you if need be. But it's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful Monday morning, and I'm so excited to be here today with you guys. I really am. I'm going to talk a little bit about principles of life today. I was praying earlier. I was actually doing prophetic words earlier. Many of you know I prophesy throughout the day to people. In fact, I just finished, Leona Marie, I just finished yours before this, and so I'm going to send you this in a minute. But I have done a lot of prophetic words so far this morning, and I want to continue that the rest of the day here while I'm in the office. But I wanted to talk this morning to you guys about a little bit about principles of life. I was really praying. I said, Lord, give me some good stuff for people today. And I wanted to be able to bring this out for many of you to where that way we all can be on the same page as far as what God is wanting to say and do in our lives. And so today I want to bring out some of those. Peachtree City from Georgia. Hey, David, how you doing today, man? I think I prophesied to you the other day too, David. I'm almost positive. But I love me some Atlanta, man. One of my favorite places to go. So today I want to talk to you guys about some principles, right? And that is this. I want you to be able to know one thing. Watching from Honduras. Hey, I love Honduras. Long way away here. So I'm glad you're watching us from Honduras today. Beautiful, beautiful country, by the way. And one of the principles I want to start with today is basically this. Stop waiting for everything to be perfect. You know, some of the things God told me the other day was God said so many people in their lives, they don't really, hello, Idaho, Pam, but so many people don't realize that we expect so much out of the American culture. We expect so much out of this culture as far as perfection. Got to do it right. Got to be on time. Got to do this. And we call this, integrity, which integrity is true. Mobile, Alabama. You're not too far from me. A lot of times we find this stuff as being so integrity, but the truth is you have to cross that fine line between integrity and crossing the fine line between perfection and the sense of pride. Because a lot of times we think from a pride and ego point of view, we think, I want everything to look right. I want everything to smell right. I want my I's dotted, my T's crossed. I want everything done right. Why? So we can look good. And that's okay, but it's not okay if it comes from the wrong attitude or the wrong spirit, which is usually pride or ego. So I want to encourage all of you guys to keep a watch over your heart to make sure that we're not moving out, into perfection, pride, and ego versus what God wants us to do, because we can move in integrity and still, let's say, for example, God shift us. Let's say we could say, I'm going this route, and all of a sudden the next day God says, nope, I want you to go this route over here. But God, I thought I heard from you the other day on which route to go. And God said, well, you did, but I want you to take this route now. A lot of times people question, does God change his mind? Well, we can read in the Old Testament where God actually did change his mind on a few things. And it doesn't mean God is unstable. It just means the route in which we need to hear things from God at that current point in our lives might need to be at a place where we hear how he's saying it to us or what he's saying in that moment. I'll give you a great example. If God was to tell us something, let's say, for example, if God was to tell me, Jeremy, you're going to win the lottery, let's say, January 2027. Okay. Let's say we've looked at this and God's like, thus said the Lord, you're going to win, $10 million, January 1st, 2027. Okay. So if God was to tell me that at that moment in my life, well, at that moment where I am now, my present now reality, I could probably quit prophesying, quit my job, not worry about anything, and just start spending money, use my credit cards up. You know what I mean? Use the money in my bank account because I'm going to get $10 million in January. Would that be wise to do? No, that would be really dumb to do. But however, if I heard God say that to me now, then I could alter everything and it could ruin my destiny, because when January comes, guess what? I could be worse off, and that money might not even change me. It might not even help me with my bills. It might not even, make me happy. My joy could be gone. So sometimes God will not always tell us everything in advance. And then sometimes we can get in January and God might say, hey, by the way, I want to let you know that I had this lottery thing planned for you. I'm going a different route for you because I want you to begin to, let's say, make money on your own. I want to profit you. I want to prosper you. Put it another way, sometimes God will tell us stuff to test our hearts to see exactly what our hearts would do with that thing. I guarantee most of us, if God was to prophesy to us and say something to the effect of, hey, I want to profit you. I want you to prosper. I want you to own your own business. If God was to say certain things to us, our mind could get into the place where we worship money more than we worship God at that moment. We don't know what could happen. So a lot of times, we have to look at this and say, does God want everything perfectly laid out? No, not really. Because God's going to do line upon line, precept on precept. He doesn't say, I'm going to do things perfectly and perfectly, or, perfection to a perfection. He doesn't say that. He says, I'm going to do things line upon line, precept upon precept. That's how God operates and moves and functions in our lives. And so because of that, we've got to be able to be ready, in season and out of season, no matter what God says to us or how He's saying that to us, okay? And so I would encourage all of you to understand the language of God. As a prophet, I can tell you right now that as a prophet of God, that when I hear God prophesy to me, and when God's prophesying to me, and all of a sudden I'm delivering, let's say, a prophetic word to somebody, I sometimes can sense in my heart if that person is ready for it or not ready for it, or if they're going to take it wrong, or if they're going to actually not know how to begin to receive what God is saying to them. And sometimes I can sense that. Sometimes I can prophesy to somebody, and as I prophesy to somebody, God will tell me immediately while I'm prophesying to them. He'll say, like in the middle of a prophecy, I've heard it, and many of you have heard me say this before. I'll get in the middle of a prophecy, and all of a sudden God says, "They're far from this word I'm about to give you." And so I will shift halfway through a prophetic word to recognize, okay, you might not bear witness with this right now. You might feel as if maybe this is far from you, but God wanted me to let you know that because you're not familiar with what God is about to tell you. Because if sometimes if I didn't say that, or if somebody prophesied a word to you, it could be right on the money. It could be a powerful word, and you might look at that and you might think to yourself, I really just don't, I don't get this. It must not be from God, or something like that. So you've got to begin to remember how God speaks. You got to know sometimes God will say stuff to confirm it. Sometimes God will say stuff to you that you will look at and say, I don't understand that, or it's far from me. And God knows it's far from you. So a prophet's job sometimes should be sensitive enough to recognize that and to recognize the fact what is near to you, what is far from you. Now, I said all that to say this, that you got to, when I said stop waiting on everything to be perfect, you got to look at that and say this way. That's exactly why God says what He says to you, and sometimes He doesn't say what He doesn't say to you. Because you got to remember, a lot of times we're prideful. Our number one sin of the fallen man in the state of consciousness is in a place of ego and pride. And because it's in a place of ego and pride, we sometimes will take that wrong. And because we take that wrong, we begin to recognize, things such as our minds get off course. And so we got to begin to stay in tune with God to know exactly what God is saying, and then be able to hold it on a shelf and not be afraid to say, I don't get that word at the moment, but I'm not going to throw it out either. And because a lot of times God will prophesy things to you that it's not even in your memory bank. It's not even something you wanted to do, you planned on doing, you've never done before. It's not even on your radar to do it. But you have to remember, God sees the ending from the beginning. So He will say things that you will not recognize, that is already in your tomorrow. It's already in 3 months from now, 3 years from now, but God will automatically or God will say to you things that He's trusting you as a mature Christian to say, okay, just because I don't really get that right now in my mind and my heart doesn't mean it's not from God. Because maybe God is speaking about my life for tomorrow. So since He is, I need to have faith, have patience, continue what He wants me to do now, and everything else I do understand, because the things I do understand will lead me to the things I don't understand. Okay? The things I do understand will lead me to the things I don't understand. Peter was in the boat. Peter understood the boat. Peter did not understand how to walk on the water. So he understood where he was, but he also stepped on the things he did not know about, and God honored it, and God raised him back up out of the water as he was sinking. So God will recognize the deep and the shallow. God recognizes what you understand, what you don't understand. But what is God saying to you? Have faith in me. Have faith in me and trust in me. And as you trust in me, I will not lead you astray, but I will tell you by faith when things are going to begin to open up and start evolving in your life, and you will not know the fullness of it. So the main thing God has to do about principles of life is stop waiting for everything, for God to tell you everything. I have a client that actually says, no, God will tell me everything. And I'm like, no, he won't. Yes, he will. I said, no, he won't. I said, listen to me. The reason why you're saying this is because you're operating out of fear. You can't operate out of fear. You got to operate out of faith. And when you operate out of faith, trusting God, that means God will not tell you everything. He will tell you things you don't understand. He will tell you things you do understand. He will tell you about things that are not supposed to happen for another 5 years, 10 years, or 5 days. But your job your job is to get out of your perfection mode, get out of your pride mode, get out of your fear mode, and trust God to know what God has started in you. He was able to, and more than able to, finish it and complete it. And that's when we begin to recognize, do I truly have faith in God, or am I expecting God to tell me every little jot and tittle? Can I tell you something? When this one client of mine who says, no, God will tell me everything. God will tell me everything. And I'm like, really? You think he's going to tell you everything? Everything about your move? Let me ask you a question. Then why do you keep on coming back to me? Where's your faith? Your faith hasn't grown in 3 years. You know why? Because faith cannot grow in the seen. Faith grows in the unseen. Faith grows in the deep. It doesn't grow in the shallow. So while you're moving and embedded in your fear, expecting God to tell you every little jot and tittle, when to wash your clothes, when to get a job, when to do this, when to move you're expecting God to tell you all that stuff. Number one, it's a disgrace on you as a son of God to do that. Hello. Because sons grow up into mature, children grow up into mature sons and daughters. That's your goal in the kingdom of God. And so number one, you won't do that. And number two, your faith won't grow. And number three, you'll always be a child tossed to and fro by everyone of doctrine. And you'll never grow up into maturity, getting to the place of the perfected day God has for us in our lives. And that's why you have to begin to understand that God is telling you, you don't always have to have an answer. I am your answer. I am your answer. You don't have to have the mental answer. So get off your mental answer capacity and get into the trust mentality to know what God has said over you and what he's not going to say over you. And when he doesn't say something over you, don't get all drama queen about it. Just know that God is going to be able to tell you when you're ready for it. And it's not always, but Lord, am I not ready? As if something's negative with me or something's wrong with me. Don't go that route. That proves you have an unrenewed mind. Hello? It proves you have an unrenewed mind when we do that. A renewed mind says, you know what, God? I don't have to know all the answers because you are the answer and I've already got you. And so just because I don't hear your voice, even though my spirit hears your voice constantly and my mind doesn't mean you're not with me. Doesn't mean I'm not hearing you. It just means you're not allowing my mind to hear it because my mind is going to try to take me a different route, or my mind is going to try to judge that word that you just told me, or my mind is going to play it out and premature it when it's not ready to be able to come out of the eggshell. That's why God tells you all the time, have faith in God. Faith moves mountains. Faith moves mountains. Prophetic word doesn't move mountains. Faith moves mountains. Why should you have prophetic words? So they can confirm with you and speak of your future. We have to have prophecy. We have to have prophetic words. You have to have prophetic words inside of you and people outside of you speaking into your life. But you've got to be able to, more importantly, to know how to handle it. And your maturity level will determine your outcome on what you hear from God spiritually and what you hear from God out of my mouth or some other prophet's mouth. Okay? Remember that today. I wanted to leave all this with you guys to where you understand the route of prophetic words. I'm going to encourage you guys to something. I don't normally do this. I wasn't planning on it, but God told me to do it. Because God said 5 of you need this. 5 of you need this desperately. I have a school that no one else has out on the planet. It's called School of the Prophetic Word. School of the Prophetic Word. It's a digital download school that literally is got tons of my teachings in it, of hours and hours of teachings that tell you what a prophetic word is, how to accelerate your prophetic word. Yes, you can accelerate your prophetic word. It doesn't mean you control God. I can tell you things, secrets from the Bible that causes your prophetic word to accelerate. I can tell you how to interpret a prophetic word. Here are the underlining and the foundation of a word that that normally your ear would not hear, having an ear to hear. But I can tell you why the prophetic word is a compass and everything else. This is a powerful, powerful, powerful digital download course that we have on sale right now for $99. So here's what I want to tell all of you, okay? Go right now to identitynetwork.net, okay? Or you can click on the link above. It'll take you to it in our quickie link. Go to identitynetwork.net or go to our quickie link. And when you do, put in School of the Prophetic, like prophecy, School of the Prophetic Word. School of the Prophetic Word. It's 5 words. School of the Prophetic Word. Put that in there. Click the button. Yes, use the link in our bio. Use the link in our bio. That helps you guys really quickly. Thank you so much for reminding me about that, Pam. Use a link in our bio. Takes you to the website. Put in School of the Prophetic Word. Click on it. Choose the digital download. Download that today on your computer, because I'm telling you, you're going to get all my teachings on prophecy, literally on a prophetic word. And I've mastered this in the sense of studying this all of my life. I've prophesied for almost 40 years. I'm not telling you my age. And I can tell you how prophecy works. So download that today, because you guys will need it, and it will boom. And let me also say this to you. You want to hear more of God prophesy to you? God will prophesy to you more when you know how to handle a prophetic word. That's why I'm telling you, get the course to where you're able to download it and understand prophecy and respect prophetic words. How do you respect something? You learn about it. How do you respect your wife? You learn about her. How do you respect your husband? You learn about his ways. It's respect. And respecting God's prophetic word means God will give you more of that. When you respect your husband or your wife in the sense of wanting to understand them more, get close to them to understand more about them, guess what? They'll give you more themselves. Think about that. That's how we are in life. We get closer to people when they want to find out more about us. When we want to learn more about God's prophetic word, God will prophesy to you more. So go right now, download that today while the price is just $99, and you'll get all my teachings on the prophetic word. All right. I love every one of you. Have a blessed, wonderful day. Share this on your stories. Please share this on your Instagram, TikTok, everything you want to, Facebook, everything. I appreciate you guys. I love each one of you. Talk to you soon.